Good evening and welcome to I'm Listening Live. I'm Listening is a 24/7, 365 initiative that works to both destigmatize mental health and also remind us to prioritize our mental health. And one of the best ways we can do that is by asking people, instead of just how are you doing, how is your mental health right now? A lot of people need supportive individuals in their lives that they can share and process what they're struggling with. It's a difficult time. We are moving into what we call the third phase syndrome. You know, early on when things change, things around us, context, situations like the pandemic, at first we have a lot of anxiety, even some excitement at what's to come and what's happening. But at some point that starts to kind of plateau, and that's the second phase. And a lot of us are still in that, where things get a little boring, they get a little depressive. But I'm giving us a heads up that we're going to at some point swing into the third phase syndrome, which is usually a spike of energy. It's not always positive though. It can be positive, where people start to kind of normalize, they're focusing on transformative things and hobbies. But for others, it can lead to some aggression. So I'm reminding everyone that right now we need to make sure that we are letting things go. We're not holding the bar high for everyone. We're also right-sizing things. Make sure that your reactions to yourself and those around you are accurate for what's actually happening. And just do tons of breathing and self-care, because again, the pandemic is still going on and everyone's having a multitude of different responses. And as always, check in on people. There are people that are lonely and isolated and really struggling with this time, and they're feeling disconnected. They don't have the normal outlets and resources. So check in on everyone, stay close, make sure everyone's doing well. Now we're gonna go to our first guest, Griffin Matthews, actor, writer, director, and also a fellow Pennsylvanian. How's it going? Welcome to the show. Yeah.
PA did it. Pennsylvania did it.
They did. I'm so proud of that home state. Could you imagine if they let us down?
Do you know that I'm from Allegheny County?
Really?
That's my county. We did it.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Single-handedly helped pull that off.
That's right.
So let's just jump off and get into some mental health talk quickly. How's your mental health doing through all this right now?
Oh my God. Okay, I was just telling your producer that I just took a shower after several days of wondering if I was ever going to see a shower again. I'm the parent of 2 children, and when you have 2 kids, you're just wondering at all times, when is this thing over? So the mental health has been like, God when?
Yeah, day by day.
Yeah, is what honestly, it's also been tough because, the parent, we have a newborn who's 3 months old. So my parents haven't seen him and our friends can't come over. So we really feel like it is us against the world. So we're hanging in.
And you also just clarified. I was going to ask you later what Daddy on the Daily was referring to, but thank you. Now it's clear.
Yeah. Trust me. That's all that I do. I am not normally wearing cheetah print. Normally, I'm in my pajamas.
Attaboy. That's okay. You can't see, but I'm literally only wearing sweatpants under this. I refuse to wear dress pants. Oh yeah, casual always.
Yeah, I'm also wearing sweatpants underneath this.
Well done. So I wanted to also thank you. The Flight Attendant, I'm a huge crime, thriller, and horror fan. And so I cannot wait, because there's not often that genre doesn't always put out the best films, right? Like sometimes it's not so great, but this one looks phenomenal.
Well, there's also comedy, which is the other it's the little tricky seed of this one, because it is all of the things that you said, and then it's funny. And I happen to be part of that comedy portion. So it's a weird balance to try to keep people equally engaged in the drama as well as the comedy. And I think our show really, they strike a beautiful balance of it. So I keep feeling like Kaylee's performance feels like the 2020 Sex in the City.
Okay.
And inside of like a horror film. She's fantastic in this show. People are going to be so shocked.
Yeah, I don't know her in that capacity. I'm used to her doing a different kind of role. So I'm excited to see her in this.
Yeah. And yeah, it'll be a new game changer for her life.
So going back to some mental health, self-care. What kind of self-care are you engaging in? Other than showers.
Other than the showers? Well, here's what I'll say. At the top of this pandemic, my husband and I just bought a house out here in LA, and we live in the mountains. And we realized like we're the first generation who are living in these houses and all we have are flowers. Like we just had a bunch of pretty gay flowers. And so we were like, yeah, we need to grow some food. We need to do something. So we planted a garden and we made an epic chicken coop. It is massive, and so I have a bunch of gay chickens out in the back. We got them as little tiny birdies, and they are finally laying eggs. I think of the 8 chickens that I have, 2 are laying eggs. It's so disappointing. I swear, I thought we were gonna I thought I was gonna start a farm. I really did. I was like, oh, we're just gonna have an abundance of eggs. We're gonna be giving them to the neighbors. That is not the case. We are getting 2 eggs a day if we're lucky, but the birds are bringing us a lot of joy also for the kids. It's nice to feel like we can survive off of eggs and basil.
I don't even know how to weigh in on that, so we're just going to keep going. But that's very Pennsylvania somehow of you.
Yeah, move on quickly.
So what do you think the impact is going to be? I have a lot of friends that work on in Broadway, and I know that keeps getting pushed back and delayed. What do you think is going to be the new wave? How is that going to change? What's going to be different about that?
Well, the first thing is that I think the American theater was in need of reform, to be completely honest. I think it needed to catch up to Hollywood. It had been about 30 years in front of the American theater. And I think as far as diversity and inclusion and the types of stories that we're telling on Broadway, I happen to be a huge Broadway fan, and not just Broadway, but theater in general. And so my husband's a composer. He writes musicals. He had a show that was supposed to transfer this season that got halted, of course, because of the pandemic. So look, I think that the latest craze is going to be finding new ways for our audiences to consume stories. So I think it's, every playwright that I know is trying to write for television and film, which is awesome because I think playwrights are some of the best storytellers. And then I think that we're just going to have to figure out how to bring theater to the masses again. I think Hamilton certainly did a game-changing moment when they recorded their show and put it on Disney and sold it for many, 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 many millions of dollars. So I think there's going to be a lot more of that.
Okay. And I also saw in an article you were talking a little bit about the racism that's traditionally in Broadway and your own difficulty in bringing one of your projects forward. Do you think we're doing any better, or do you think they still have an inclusion problem?
We're not going to find out. I think that, look, we've seen some theaters making some strides, some beautiful strides, and putting out statements to say that they're working on their diversity and inclusion. And several theaters have released internal letters from their own staff saying our theater needs to do better. And so I think that's certainly the start. I don't think we're going to really know what the impact is until we get back to work and we look behind the scenes and we lift up the curtain, so to speak, and go, who's back there? Who's making those decisions? And also, of course, I think the audience will tell us if we're doing a good job, because not only did the theater need to become more diverse behind the scenes, but I think the idea of trying to get a more diverse crowd inside of the theater is a massive task. So when you go to see a Broadway show, if you see people like me in the audience next to you, then I think we're doing something right.
Yeah, I know, just from a mental health perspective, working with clients of all different kinds of diverse creative sexualities and orientations and whatnot, it's really important for them to see themselves represented in media, right? It's such a powerful socializer and normalizer. So I hope to see that as well. And also, like you kind of pointed out, lifting up the curtain, like we have to put some diversity in positions of power. It can't just be dropping them on the stage, right?
Correct. And I think that's the first step, is to try to present a diverse cast and go, look, we're doing it. But I think, as you've seen, I just watched the movie 40-Year-Old Version, and she talks about her troubles. It's on Netflix. She talks about her troubles as well, trying to get her show made. And we've got to get people, diversity, BIPOC inclusion inside of the power structure. And that is when real change, systemic change will take place.
And so we're also in this thing called a pandemic. Can't recognize that. Numbers are spiking. So how will your holiday be different as a result of that? What are you guys going to do differently?
For me, I'm a Christmas baby. I am Black Jesus, as I like to call myself. And I will be, I don't know, I'm probably just sitting next to the tree, rocking a baby, and trying to stay grateful for the fact that I have a tree and I have 2 beautiful babies. And it will be different, because I've always said I never had a surprise party, because when you're born on Christmas, that's just not happening. But I do always get a guarantee of being with people that I love. And so this year will be the perfect example of that moment. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, happy early birthday. And I think the presence of children, I think children are what can sometimes make the holidays a little more magical. I know as an adult without children, it flattens out a little bit.
Listen, I can give you 2 children if you want to. I don't know where
Didn't
you're
say that.
Okay, I could drop off. My husband want to make plates, and we'll send the children with the plates.
No, I'm coming to you. You have a farm. I would love to spend some time on the farm. I need to get out of Hollywood. I'm tired.
Yeah, I only have 1 egg for you. I don't have money more. So you can come. You're only getting 1, though.
Y'all keep your eggs. Griffin Matthews, the flight attendant. So stoked to see it. Thank you for being a part of our show.
Thank you, my friend. It's good to see you.
Have a great night.
You too, bud.
And there it is, y'all. Look, we're all doing our best to get through this. You got to laugh, but plan those holidays. Not everyone's going to be spending them with someone, but still do something, check in on your relatives or loved ones. Man, we're all in this together. But all right, we're going to switch gears. Now we're going to go to our next guest, Dr. James Q. Simmons. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Good to see you again.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Well, we are squarely in the holidays, right? It like crept up on us like that so fast.
So let's talk about it. Holiday travel. Is it safe? What should people think about? I'm a hardliner. I'm telling everyone, just stay home, please. What are your thoughts as a medical professional?
Oh, so I'm a hardliner, but also a realist. So my official advice is y'all should not have done Thanksgiving. I know you traveled for Thanksgiving. I know you went inside people's houses. I know you didn't wear your masks, and now we're still seeing numbers, go crazy in certain parts of the country. So I'm sticking to that. I really feel like we all have to be okay with the holidays not being okay with us, not being the way that we like them. I don't like any non-essential travel. I don't like any non-essential gatherings, period, in certain parts of the country, but definitely not indoors. And for most of the country, now that it's, we're squarely into the holidays and it's cold, it's really difficult to have gatherings outside. That being said, Chris, I'm also a realist. I know that people are going to do this, and we have very clear evidence that people are doing this. And so there are some things that you can do if you're going to be one of these people doing this to keep yourself and your loved ones safe.
And quickly, just define the word essential. I think that might be something that throws people off. So what really falls under that heading?
Very few people are essential, right? Like essential workers are the people who are keeping our grocery stores open, healthcare workers, et cetera. But that's in the community. There are some individuals where travel is absolutely necessary. So I do say that if there is some sort of emergency in your life and you are otherwise young and healthy, you feel like you're not going to put anyone at risk where you live or where you are traveling to, you also have an opportunity to quarantine. You also have an opportunity to get tested before and after you travel, things like that. And then that travel is essential. It is a family emergency. Someone has died or is dying, something like that. Okay, fine. Then maybe we can talk about that as essential travel. But just going home for Christmas because you really miss, grandma's apple pie, like grandma can ship you that apple pie and you can stay your butt at home. You do not need to be getting on that plane to go anywhere for Christmas or New Year's or anything.
That pie was never that good anyway. But let's talk about this quickly. So I think some people, they're comfortable putting themselves at risk. So let's just talk quickly about the fact that a lot of this is also about protecting the people around you, that you might be willing to, encounter a certain level, but you bring things home with you. And that's something I was talking to parents about that have children away at college, that it's not just necessarily within your family unit, but what are you maybe bringing to those around you?
There are universities now that are telling kids, if you went home for Thanksgiving, don't come back. Or if you go home for Christmas, don't come back. I think it's really important for people to remember this number. We don't talk about it enough. More than 40% of people who have COVID-19 are asymptomatic. They never know they have it. We have very clear evidence that asymptomatic spread can be spread just as easily from someone who has symptoms, and that's coming from small indoor gatherings. This is generally not coming from businesses. It's generally not coming from the healthcare arena. It's interesting, to your point, it's generally not coming from on plane, but people being near each other in airports and people being near each other inside of their homes, not wearing masks, being asymptomatic, not knowing they had it, and then they've spread it to other people. And again, you might be asymptomatic, it might not affect you, you might get sick and be okay, what about all those other people out there who are going to need to be hospitalized and strain the healthcare system and could potentially die from this? You got to think about other folks.
40% is a huge percentage. I was not aware that it's that high, and that's quite shocking. And also the concept of we're now looking at, what do they call them, long haulers, those that have symptoms that are ongoing and have not really resolved themselves.
It's really difficult. I have 2 patients right now that I'm caring for that have been in the hospital for more than 7 weeks. Thankfully, we have not had to intubate either of these individuals because we know the research is very clear. Our experience is very clear. If we can avoid intubation, it can make all the difference in someone's life when they have COVID. But what that does mean sometimes is a much, much, much longer hospitalization. So we have individuals who keep their symptoms. They require, oxygen through high flow nasal cannula or whatever it is in the hospital environment for 7 weeks, or have 2 of my patients. So when we talk about straining the healthcare system, it's not necessarily that everyone's coming in immediately dying from this, or they come in, they're a little bit sick and we can send them home. People who need hospital resources are there for minimum 10 days to 3 weeks at a time. And like you said, some long haulers, a lot more than that.
Bam. Dr. James Q. Simmons, thank you so much. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you very much. You too, Chris.
All right, y'all, we got to play it safe because we want to move into the new year healthy, looking out for those around us. So please take it seriously, especially when we talk about 40% of people being asymptomatic, not even knowing that they have it and still able to spread it to those around them. For those that need some added support, we're going to put up some resources at the end of the show. And if you want to check out some past episodes of I'm Listening Live, go to alltheradio.com handles, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. As always, thanks for hanging out with me, and you all enjoy the rest of your night.